So that was that last episode was a pretty rough time, low point in my life, and it was rough. But what I did was, I had broken up with my manager as well as, even though I didn't have a career, I still had a manager. I broke up with my manager at the same time I broke up with the guitar player, and started writing songs and managed to get into the studio and lay down some guitar vocals, piano vocals, and send them out to, through people I've met over the years in the music business and try to get something happening. And I did. I had some interest from a number of different people, but one guy was a big hit song producer in LA and really liked my stuff and has sort of followed my career, Janie and Dennis days. And he flew me to LA to meet him and to do some tracks. And I went and, it was great. I mean, it was like, just a new start, new thing. And went to LA and I stayed with my cousin in Hermosa Beach. And beautiful, beautiful. Hermosa Beach means beautiful beach, and it was beautiful. But my cousin was a gay porno star. He was like the Frank Sinatra of gay porno. It was hysterical. And he was a great guy. And, it was really funny, the whole thing. But anyway, I stayed with him. And then I met the producer, hung out with him, went back to New York, and then came back and moved. I sort of left New York because the guitar player was calling me all the time. I was trying to break up with him and start a new life, and it seemed just right for me to move on and go to LA and start over again. And so I call this chapter Fresh Start. So I went out to LA the second time and did tracks with this producer, Fred Mullen, and stayed with my cousin until he found me an apartment, the bottom part of a two-family house by the beach behind his, and I moved into that, and it was beautiful. It was like by the beach, and it was just a great place to live, and I was hanging out, and everything was new. I got a job playing in this club in Redondo Beach in the next beach area, and 3 nights a week for $50 a night, and it kind of covered all my expenses. It was very cheap to live in Hermosa Beach. Now it costs a fortune, but then it was really a find. And doing tracks with Fred Mullen, playing at this club 3 nights a week, and I was kind of getting over my heartbreak and working through it, and it was great. And on Sundays at the club, they had a blues jam, and these guys, these black dudes from South Central, great blues players, was playing the gig on Sunday afternoon, and people could sit in, and it was kind of like a jam thing. And so I went down there, and I asked them, could I sit in? So I sat in, and the place went nuts, because I always sit in with great blues and jazz musicians. I did it in New York with some of Billie Holiday's old guys, and it was great. And so they said to me after I got off the stage, they said, hey, wait a minute, man, our singer is going to leave the band, we think, and we really like what you do, so give us your phone number. So I gave him my phone number. Okay. So, meanwhile, little time goes by, and I'm working at the club 3 nights a week. One day, I walk down the beach, and I go to, and you got to understand, it's like 2 or 3 miles. It was nothing to me back in those days. It would be a lot right now. But anyway, I walk down the beach and go to the club, and it's closed. It closed down. Nobody bothered to call me. I walked 3 miles to my gig that I'd been working there like 5 months already. So, this is what happens to people like me. I mean, all of us musicians, and, it's just crazy. But, that's the way that went. And I was painting houses and doing whatever I can to survive and doing tracks with Fred Mullen. And, making new friends and just having a great time. Really, I was really it was a really great time in my life in a way, even though it was a struggle, of course. I get a call. Now, you got to understand, my Janie Street is my stage name, but my real name is Janie Schramm. And I get a call one day, and I get on the phone, and it's like, is this Janie Schramm? I said, yes. The girl with the suspenders? I said, yeah. This is Deacon Jones. And we really like the way you sing. And our lead singer, he left the band. So, will you come down to rehearsal? I said, well, where is it? He says, well, I have Finest, our bass player, Finest Tasby. He'll pick you up. He'll pick you up. I said, all right, when? It was the next day or the day after. I don't remember. We made arrangements. So this guy pulls up with this car that's it's like a boat. I don't know that much about cars, but this one was like a big Chevy or Link, I don't know, it was an old beat up big boat car. And I walk up these stairs onto the street because I was in the bottom part of the house, and I see this guy in this boat, and I get in the car and heading back to I didn't know where the rehearsal was, but it actually was in South Central in Watts, and which was a very, very heavy duty ghetto at that time. And I get in the car with this guy, the bass player, and I say, oh, great, this is going to be fun. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, but hell with rehearsal, man. Let's go to the movies. So I said, no, I think we're going to go to rehearsal, and he backed down, and we went to the rehearsal. So get to the rehearsal, okay? But the rehearsal is I'm in an apartment with all these dudes that played in this band. They were great. They were great musicians. But I'm sitting there and they're listening to blues and nothing's happening. The old guy is starting to tell me, hey, yeah, I have a girlfriend in Nebraska. I have a girlfriend in Florida. He starts telling me about his love life. And I'm sitting there going, when are we going to rehearse? What's the deal here? I'm just like totally, it's like it's really kind of funny. I'm just watching this whole thing. And Deacon Jones comes out and he goes, oh, and then he goes, where's Bobby? Where's Bobby? Now, Bobby is the drummer. He's the only white guy in the band, right? So he goes, Bobby, he goes, that Bobby, he goes, I don't have my, he goes, his old lady comes to every gig. And, he goes, I don't like my old lady to come to every gig. He goes, I like to get around. I said, oh, that's great, Deacon. Yeah, okay, I get that. And we're waiting around for Bobby. We go to this place, walk over to this place that's about 10 grades down from Kentucky Southern Fried Chicken. I mean, it's terrible. We pick up chicken. We go back to the apartment. They're listening to blues. We're waiting for Bob. Bobby finally shows up. Okay. I mean, this is just a story that I remember very vividly. Another defining moment. And Bobby finally shows up, and we go out of the apartment. We walk across these railroad tracks and into this kind of barn type of thing. And everybody gets on their instrument. We start jamming. And these horn players start piling in. All these people start piling in and jamming. It was the greatest blues jam I've ever been in my life. It was just fantastic. It was just very memorable. And it was just a great day. It was really interesting. I mean, I was sitting there not knowing what the hell was going on until we finally jammed. And I said, okay, this was worth the chicken and the stories. And I tell this story because I think it's a real interesting musician story. So, that was kind of an interesting thing. At the time I moved to California, in Hermosa Beach, in LA. I didn't even know you had to have a car in in LA. I came from New York. I took buses and subways, so I didn't have a car, but I finally did get a car from my uncle passed away in Seattle, and we went up and got a car. We used to call it, he was Uncle Oliver, so I used to call this this was an old boat, Chevy. It was all rusted up and everything, but it ran, and I used to call it Oliver. One day it just fell apart right in this, I was driving it, and it just the whole thing just crashed down onto the street. So you could understand what my existence was like in Los Angeles. But I remember them as really good times in my life, actually. So it goes on from here.